The story is about Jimmy, a boy who is born with no immunity and who, as a consequence, must live is a huge plastic bubble installed in his bedroom by his mother. Jimmy is a teenage boy who lives in a nice house with his mother and father. He knows he is a special boy because he never gets outside his plastic bubble. His mother installed Jimmy in his bubble when he was only 4 years old, and after finally being able to get him from the hospital where he was born. She told him that he was born with no immunity, and so the tiniest germ could kill him if he ever dared to leave his protected, super clean environment. Jimmy's mother is a bit of a religious freak, so she feeds him cross-shaped cookies and tells him that the world is a dirty, horrible place to live in. Jimmy observes the world from his window, and one day he sees Chloe, the girl next door, washing her car, and he has an erection. His mother is horrified, and she tells him that from now on he must recite the Pledge of Allegiance whenever he has an erection, and it will automatically go away. Chloe and Jimmy become best friends. She brings him gifts, and she gets them to him through a decontamination chamber. One day she asks Jimmy to let her in his bubble, and he refuses. He is afraid that he will die because his mother told him so. Chloe tells him that she will get herself decontaminated, but Jimmy says no. She goes away, and she finds herself a boyfriend called Mark. Mark and Chloe decide to get married in a place near the Niagara Falls. She tells Jimmy that she can no longer visit him, and he is very sad. One night, Jimmy builds himself a smaller bubble suit, and he gets out of the house for the first time in his life. He decides to travel to Niagara Falls and stop Chloe from getting married to her boyfriend. Jimmy goes to the bus station, and he is told that the ticket to Niagara Falls costs $260. He knows nothing about the outside world, and he has no money. He doesn't pay attention, and he gets hit by a bus full of teenagers that call themselves the Bright and Shiny. Jimmy is not hurt, and his bubble is intact, and the teenagers load him into their bus and tell him they will get him to Niagara Falls for free. Jimmy understands that the Bright and Shiny is some sort of a religious group, and he is naive enough to ask if they are a cult. They get mad and throw him out of the bus in the middle of the desert. Jimmy's mother finds out that her son left the nest, and she packs her bags and her husband and starts looking for him. Jimmy starts walking through the desert, and he meets a biker called Slim. He helps Slim fix his bike, and he takes Jimmy to Vegas. They have a really good time in Vegas, but Jimmy decides to take off on his own after winning a small bike as a prize. The Bright and Shiny bus is also following Jimmy because the religious leader told his followers that their new Messiah will have a round aura around him, and they instantly thought that Jimmy was their new leader. Jimmy's mother catches up with him on his way to Niagara Falls, but she hits him with her car by mistake, and he is projected into a train. He finds out that the train belongs to Dr. Freak and his gang, and that they are some sort of circus band. He travels with them for a while, then he meets an Indian man as a fast food. The man owns an ice cream and curry truck. Jimmy asks Push Pop, the Indian man, to take him to Niagara Falls, and he accepts. Push Pop hits a cow on the road, and he gets very upset. He gives Jimmy an ice cream, and he tells him to go away. Jimmy arrives at a small town, and he asks a very old man to take him to Niagara Falls. The man tells him that he needs $500 to get to Niagara Falls, so Jimmy goes into a bar. He wrestles some girls into the mud, and he wins the $500 prize. He and Pappy, the old man, take off to Niagara Falls, but the old man dies at the wheel, and Jimmy jumps out of the car. Jimmy calls Chloe to tell her that he is on his way, and that she must wait for him, but Mark answers the phone and tells Jimmy that he is just a freak, and that he must take his mind away from Chloe because she will never marry him. Jimmy is sad, and he decides to call his mother and tell her to take him home. The parents arrive, but his father intervenes, and he tells Jimmy to go to Niagara Falls and follow his dream. Jimmy gets on a plane with Pippi, another old man and Pappy's brother. He jumps from the plane into the Niagara Falls and makes it in time for the wedding. He tears his plastic bubble and tells Chloe that he wants to kiss her, and that he is willing to die for her. Jimmy's mother arrives, and she must admit that she kept him in his bubble because she wanted him for herself. She tells Jimmy that he got back his immunity when he was 4 years old. Jimmy marries Chloe, and they live happily ever after.